Shalom, shalom, shalom. Out there to the hopeful elect of Israel. First off, I want to start off and give up honors and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us truth and who rule well. Peace and safety and salutations that they're to you sincere and you hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of this earth. Around your fellow servant, Malaakia. All right, coming in with another lesson today. Okay, this lesson is going to be going into basically going into the path, okay, of the MOTB, man. Okay, because as we're seeing, all right, this system crumble, as we're seeing this system fall, it is imploding within itself, all right, because ultimately when you look at it, all right, the elites they are done with this place, okay, they're with this old system, as I may say, okay, and they are moving, okay, transitioning, okay, to the next phase. Okay, this is why we're seeing prophecy starting to kick off more and more and more. Okay, we're seeing the things happening with concerning with the food stamps, the EBT, the housing. Okay, and we're seeing things that's happening on the back end of that, with the results of AI taking over jobs, job losses. Okay, and at the same time, okay, we're seeing a ripple effect. Okay, what's happening with that as well? Okay, and it's down, it's coming down onto the banks. Okay, this is very strategic. Okay, of how these elites are doing is very strategic. All right, because it's all leading up to Revelation chapter 13. But let me go ahead and get that first. Just the book of 'cause this is what we're all leading to, that you jakes don't want to accept, okay, what the Lord, okay, is telling you, all right, is giving you the warning through the men, all right, through the prophets. You don't want to accept it, okay, but you don't understand what, okay, is truly happening, man, because it's happening right now, right before your face, okay, and sooner or later we're not going to be out there on the street, on the highways and hedges, and doing these different digital video epistles to keep giving you the warning, man. The stakes is getting higher and higher, man, okay, to the point to where we're getting ready to see things take a new leaf. In 2026, things is getting ready to change. It's getting ready to change drastically, and it's going to change fast. So here it is, the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. All right, it reads, it says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay, so we are in the middle of the transitionary period. Okay, because when you look at you go into the word cause, it goes into poieo. Okay, it says to make ready. Okay, to prepare. Okay, and this is what this devil is doing. He's making the people ready. He's preparing them for this new system. Okay, and in the meantime, he's collapsing the old system. This is the we're in the middle of the transitionary period, okay? And this is how he's going to cause the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free and bond, all right, to be able to receive his mark. Okay, the people are going to be willingly, okay, to take it, man, all right, because they're going to be squeezed into a corner to where they have no choice. And then when you look at it, this is what's happening right now. Okay, so let's read on a little bit more. It says, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the number of the beast or the number of his name. So a lot of people want to line up, okay, for this new system, okay, because they already been how can I say it, conditioned, all right, they conditioned, all right, for the system already, man. Okay, and he's been doing it by the way of gradualism. That's what the people don't understand. All this is being done by the way of gradualism. Okay, you look at the markets, the stock market, things are tumbling, but you got some things that's actually moving pretty good. But at the same time, you also have with the housing market, that's collapsing, okay, as well. You have the repo market, that's closing, okay? Why? Because this is the result of all these different things that's happening, being done strategically. People do not have jobs to pay for their houses. People do not have jobs to pay for food. People do not have jobs to pay. I think I said for housing already. I believe I said housing, cars, food. Okay, the necessities of life. People are losing these things. Okay, and the banks are catching the back end of this. So let me go ahead and read this. This is from CNBC.com. It says the Fed's balance sheet takes center stage as liquidity concerns rise. And I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to read this, but let me play this video right quick. Brothers have been doing videos on it, and I want to do a video on it too as well. So let me play this video, and I got another video as well.
I wanted to make another quick.
Salam. Here we go. Here we go.
I wanted to make another quick update video. So I was talking to someone that works for a media organization, and they're like, why is no one covering what's happening with the banks right now and the repo market? And I was like, well, if you cover that, it's going to immediately cause a run on the banks, and it is going to cause a decline in the stock market. But here is the seriousness of.
Yeah. All right. Because once this news starts to come out and people start to actually pay attention and see, okay, that their banks, all right, could potentially lose, okay, that the money that they have within these credit unions, okay, within these banks, okay, people are gonna be frantic, and people are gonna run to the banks to go try and to withdraw. Why do the banks have to? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. But why do the banks, all right, have to ask for government for more money? But we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Let's play. I don't want to jump ahead of myself.
What is happening, that it's going to immediately cause a run on the banks, and it is going to cause a decline in the stock market. But here is the seriousness of what is happening right now that I explained to this individual. So as you have noticed, in 2 weeks the banks have borrowed $50 billion in a.
And that's the point. Okay. They have borrowed $50 billion in emergency liquidity. Okay. And that's showing you that the banks do not have the capability of still running. Okay. This is where we're getting ready to start seeing smaller banks getting pushed out. Okay. The bigger banks, a lot of them are going to start to fall as well. Okay. It's not going to be in mass, all right, I perceive, okay, but there will be more banks closures, and the people they will panic, okay, once the news starts to get out, okay, that their money is at risk, okay, because you got to think about it. People who work for the government, okay, they're not getting paid anymore. Those checks aren't coming in into those banks anymore. Those deposits aren't coming in. Loans are not getting paid. People are losing cars, people are losing houses. Okay. So all this money that was being dished out, all right, in the short term, there's no money coming in. Okay. So that's gonna ultimately leave, okay, to a collapse, all right, within the banking sector. Okay. And this is where ultimately, okay, they're gonna start integrating more digital infrastructure, okay, into these different banks, which they have already done, right, by signing into the Genius Act, going into the stable coins. Okay. See, look, everything is lining up in pieces, okay, as we see it. All right, so let me go ahead and play a little bit more.
Emergency liquidity that was not accessed anywhere near those levels last year.
Yeah, and I looked up past couple recent years. Okay, banks have already been going through this. Okay, when you look at it, banks have been going through this the past what since COVID. Okay, but it really started to take a major turn more in the last recent years, 2022, 2023, some in 2024, but this year, okay, this is a lot, 50 billion. Okay, that's a lot of money. Okay, to help what keep some of these different banks and things afloat. Okay, but eventually it's all going to collapse, man, because this is their way of them getting ready to integrate, okay, uh this digital money, okay, into uh the banking systems.
That right there is an indicator we have a serious issue. And then on top of that, if you look at the borrowing that was done by this, but today on the repo market, 8 billion of it was mortgage-backed securities versus treasuries. So I give you the pawn shop analogy. When you need to go get quick cash, a diamond ring is a treasury. That's like a $100 bill, right? You give that as collateral and you get back cash. Mortgage-backed securities are garbage. It's a stack of IOUs on the backs of people's mortgages that aren't even being paid right.
Yep. So mortgages aren't even being paid right now. Excuse me. This system is imploding on itself. And this is where we're getting ready to start to see more chaos in the streets, man. Okay? It's only going to get worse. 2026 is going to be one hell of a year. Okay? People don't have money. The government's not paying the people who work for the government their money. They're losing houses. They're losing cars. Okay, they have loans. They're not paying back. They're actually they're borrowing uh more money from these banks, and these banks are trying to stay afloat. Eventually, it's just going to crash. Okay, at the rate that it's going. Interest rates keep dropping. Inflation keeps rising. Programs are being shut. So the people, okay, are at a downturn, okay, within their lives. So how are they going to be able to pay these different loans that they borrow, okay, from the banks, okay? So now the banks have to what? Ask for money.
Now, so what you guys need to understand, billions and billions and billions of dollars of direct deposits, government funding to contractors, none of that is happening. So none of this liquidity is going into the banks. Worse yet, because a lot of individuals work for the government and work for the military, they cannot pay loans back. So they can't pay car loans, they can't pay credit cards, they can't pay mortgages. That's how banks get cash back. So
And this shit is going down. So everybody's focus is on the EBT, the SNAP, which that's a major problem. Okay. But what is the result, okay, of the shutdown? Okay. What is the result of the shutdown? Yeah, you can get the people back their food stamps, but it still doesn't matter if the government is shut down. The longer the government is shut down and the more the people getting laid off, furloughed, and then there is no jobs, the banks will go down.
if banks are not getting direct deposits from the government and no funding from any government source at this point in time, and they're not receiving paybacks on loans, and all that's happening is people are taking cash out. They're taking cash out of their various banks to cover rent, to cover mortgage, to cover car loans. That's why this November 1st date is so fucking dangerous, because car loans are due on the 1st. Mortgages are due on the 1st.
We're getting ready to see a ripple effect within the economies. More how do you foreclosures, okay, will be happening. More repossessions will happen, okay? More jobs, brick and mortar companies, they're gonna fall. Even the ones who even have different businesses. See, this is why everything that's happening right now is very crucial. Today is 11/1. Today is November 1st. Today is a dangerous day, okay? Because they don't have none of the different things happening. So if this continues another month, this place will be done. This place will just collapse, okay? We know eventually they're going to have to open up the government, okay? But in the meanwhile, while the government is still down and a lot of people dependent on the government to pay them, we're getting ready to see some major effects, okay, concerning with the economy. Okay, you're getting ready to start to see a lot of the stock market crashing. Okay, a lot of the people trying to run to the banks to go get money, but they're not going to be able to get money. See, the Great Depression, all right, 2.0, man, is here if this continues. Okay, Be ready to start to see families on the street. Okay, be ready to start seeing families asking and begging for food, going to the food pantry. We're seeing it right now, but this is just the beginning. So if this continues another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, be ready to start seeing things happening, okay, in your everyday life, okay, because this thing is collapsing, man, right in front of the people's eyes.
Credit cards are due on the first. And so all the direct deposits that are not showing up.
Yep, cars are going to be shut off. People maxing out credit cards. Come on, man. How are you gonna be able to go shop or go get certain things, and that's the only thing they depended on. The only thing that people are dependent on right now, some people is dependent on just credit cards. What's gonna happen when you can't pay the credit card? This is the state of America right now.
The federal government workers to contractors to any other agency that's not getting paid. I don't know about the military yet. I still don't know if they were able to come up with the $9 billion, but let's say that doesn't happen either. Now the banks are out billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they're not getting any loan repayments coming in. So what do I think's going to happen next week? And it clearly looks like the shutdown will go into next week. I think there might be very well a run on some of the smaller banks. I've heard reports, I don't know how true they are, but some individuals are having trouble, especially trying to get out large sums of cash. So a few individuals.
And that's been happening. Okay? That's been happening lately. You know, we got people who have money. Okay, it was one I forgot which comedian, or I think it was a comedian, and he was trying to take 100,000 out of his bank account, and they wouldn't let him take it out. But it's their money. You had someone trying to take out even 50,000. They couldn't even take out 50,000, showing you where this whole thing is heading. All right, the banks don't have money.
I've seen comments on just through the TikTok who said, they tried to take out a large deposit. Bank wouldn't grant that, wouldn't allow that to leave the bank. They didn't have it basically. So that's essentially what's happening when there's no cash, when there's no liquidity, the banks can't meet these withdrawals, and then we come to a standstill and we have a run on the banks. And so what I think is going to happen next week, after November 1st, is SNAP benefits will end, and we will not have any of that money going into the banks, and we are going to potentially see a run on the grocery stores and a run on the banks because
all chaos is about to erupt. People are going to panic when they can't get any money from the banks. People are going to panic when they don't have the money, all right, to go and feed their families. It's going to get to the point where people are going to start looting, robbing, stealing, killing to get what they need. We're in some serious and dangerous times. Okay, let me get this in the book of Ephesians. This is the time to walk more circumspectly. All right, Akim. Ephesians 5 and 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Okay? This is the time, okay, for you to walk circumspectly, looking around, okay? Knowing your surroundings. Okay? There was a video earlier I seen with Full Spectrum Survival. He had a woman. Okay, I probably could pull that part up. I want to do a video on that too. But going into how the woman, she was walking towards her car or whatever, but she seen four men get out of the car all at the same time, masked up, had guns in their hand, and started coming towards her. So she ran back inside the house. Okay, she was fully aware of the situation. She didn't sit there and wait. Okay, but you're gonna have a lot of people who's not paying attention and thinking that this society is still running good. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who's following you when you go to the store. Okay, this is what's happening. This is where we at. It says redeeming the time because the days are evil. We are living in some evil days, some evil times. People gonna get to the point to where they're gonna just take your life for a piece of bread, some rice, a damn canned food, man, because they're trying to feed their family. This is where we at, man. Okay, people are losing houses. All right, they don't have nowhere to stay. They on the streets. They put people losing their cars. Just recently, last week and 2 weeks ago, man, we just been seeing people. I've seen so many repo trucks just picking up cars and driving off. Come on, man. I do want to pull up the point. Maybe I could try to no, I want to have to go into the chat to bring that up. But it's all good though. Let's go back to this video. Salah.
People are not going to have SNAP benefits. People are not going to have paychecks to buy food. And then on top of that, banks aren't going to have money to meet withdrawals. So we'll see what happens next week. But
Ooh, it's gonna get real. It is about to get real, man. So I got another video right here. Ah, come on.
I did my best.
Let me see if I can find that. Salah. Was it this one? It was this one.
It's better that you know we have a liquidity problem. I talked about this when the government shutdown started. Banks that are used to getting billions of dollars worth of deposits on pay periods are not getting them now. Those same people who are not getting deposits, some of them have mortgage, car payments, personal loans, credit cards with these credit unions, these banks. A lot of these credit unions that are military facing and have a lot of federal workers who usually get deposits, they're all borrowing. There's a liquidity issue. They're borrowing a lot recently, in the billions, just to stay liquid so that when we slide our card at the grocery store or the gas station, it works.
It's gonna get to a point to where whatever bank that you have, you think you got money, you're gonna go try to purchase an item, and that shit's gonna say declined. It's gonna say declined, and you have money. It's gonna say decline, okay? Because the bank don't have the money to issue it out to you. Shit gonna get bad.
Are we going to get to a point where they fail? I don't know.
Hey, if this continues, yes, it's going to fail. So I understand why he's saying he don't know because everything is on a standstill right now. But if this shutdown continues and people do not have money to continue to pay to pay the banks back because the banks issued out a lot of money, what do you think is getting ready to happen?
Are they going to just keep borrowing until?
If they can get the money, it's going to get to the point to where the whole well is going to run dry on everything.
We'll see. But the amount they're borrowing daily now is continuing to increase. Like anything else, liquidity is king. If you have no liquidity, things fail.
It's not going to move. Okay? The only way only way things move is by a liquidity. You see the same thing within the stock market. Okay? If price is going up too far, okay, it's gonna have to get to a point to where it's gonna be at a standstill. Okay? It's just an up and down motion, up and down, up and down. Okay, until it points, it takes liquidity. And this is where we're at, okay, within the actual economy. Everything is at a standstill. So the only way for things to go is to go down. And this is where a lot of the liquidity is going to come. The big major grab, as you may say, all right, for the elites, okay, because they're getting ready to issue in, okay, a new system that's going to help utilize the economy better.
It's better that you know the situation and what's happening in the background than not have an idea. They don't want to put this information out, but it's going to be forced out because they don't want bank runs. If you go do any research on bank runs, you'll understand why they don't want that. And that's
That's like the Great Depression all over again. The Great Depression 2.0. I probably just name it that.
why kind of they keep it, this information very close to the hip, because that would be very bad if we had bank runs.
Yep.
I would.
It's gonna get to the point to where the banks just it's lucky. The banks are gonna close the doors. People are gonna panic, all right, because their lives is gonna fall right before their eyes. All right. So I got right here. Move that out the way. Move this out the way. Going back into the CNBC.com, it says the Fed's balance sheet takes center stage as liquidity concerns rise. Short-term interest rates have been particularly volatile in recent weeks, with the U.S. repo market signaling potential liquidity distress. Okay, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, it's not potential; it is liquidity distress. Okay, as we're seeing, okay, people's cars being hauled up and taken, okay, to the yard. People losing homes to the banks foreclosures. Come on, man. The rise in funding rates has the rise in funding rates has raised questions over the state of the bank reserves, which is shit. All right, so let's go ahead and jump here. So I got here in the chat GPT. I said, explain the banks and credit unions having a liquidity problem. Could this result in a transition to a digital system? It says, here's a breakdown of what's going on with liquidity problems at banks and credit systems, credit and credit unions, Slovakia, and whether this could be pushed towards a more digital-only financial system. And it says, going to the text, I'm trying to get straight to the point where I see reasonable costs. Too many. Let me read this piece. It says, funding liquidity risk. When the institution cannot obtain funds relying on external funding or deposit flows dries up. This is the liquidity risk, what it is. Market liquidity risk. When the institution has assets that are hard to sell or pledge quickly without major loss. Okay, different government bonds and things, reserves and to that nature. All right, but they're basically as shit. Okay, they don't mean anything because the banks don't have any income money coming in. So let me see where was I? Let me see. I think we just get to this point and get ready to close out. It says why this matters. If a bank credit union can't meet withdrawals or fund its obligations without selling stuff at a loss, its solvency can quickly come into question. Liquidity issues can be precursor or contributor to failure. Okay, this is going to be a contributor and a precursor to failure. Liquidity stress may ripple through the system if many institutions have similar vulnerabilities, asset liability mismatches, poor funding, diversification. One shot can spread. It says institutions with weaker liquidity also may take on riskier business to chase yield. And it says, yes. It says, could this lead to a transition toward a digital financial system? Yes. In fact, some of the trends in digital banking and finance suggest that liquidity stress could be one of the factors driving further digital transformation. It says, but it's not a guarantee that things pivot only because of liquidity. I'll examine how this could happen and also highlight the caveats. Cost pressures, competition from digital only players, fintechs, changing the positive behavior, risk management, and platform upgrading, regulatory impetus. Then it says, ooh, let me get kind of straight to the point, connect the dots. And I just read these last five and then we can close out. It says connecting the dots, liquidity risk to digital transition. Bank, it says point one, bank credit union suffers liquidity pressures, less liquid assets, repos, wholesale funding risk, deposit outflows. To bolster resilience, it looks to reduce costs, diversify funding, and improve monitoring risk systems. This pushes them toward digital transformation, lower cost structure, better analytics, digital deposit platforms, mobile apps, etc. Simultaneously, digital entrants extract deposits funding, raising competitive pressure on incumbents over time. This may shift the funding and transaction infrastructure of the system more toward digital platforms, depending on regulatory and structural shifts. And they already have all this in the making, man. All right, by them signing all those different executive orders. All right, bringing in this the big beautiful bill, okay, bringing in the Genius Act, okay, and all these other different executive orders that concerning with the stable coins, okay, banks already instituting different cryptocurrencies, okay, so we're on the move towards this digital system, the CBDCs. You got it already happening over there in the EU with the digital ID. That's what's coming over here real soon. Okay, the system is already being in place. It's happening right now. Okay, we're just waiting on the collapse, all right, because the old system is done away with. Okay, so it's just a video going into that Great Depression 2.0, man. It's happening. Okay, and we are living within the midst of it, man. So hey, just a quick lesson going into this infrastructure, what's happening, and things that are quickly taking place. All right, showing you that we are ultimately moving towards, all right, Revelation chapter 13. Okay, the most controversial scripture. Okay, that is known within Israel. Okay, but you heard it here first at GMS. Okay, where we are heading to. Okay, we're leading all right unto Revelation chapter 13, man. Okay, so hey, Lord willing, all right, you was edified from off this lesson. I want to give all honors and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakapadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace and safety and salutations that to you sincere and you hopefully elect. Scattered abroad across the four winds of this earth. All right, my fellow servant, Malakia. Shalom.